Hi, everyone. This is week 3 of the Global Read Aloud, and I'm so excited to have so many questions to answer. I am going to try to do this a little bit differently than I've been doing so far. I am going to start with some questions from Forestville Road Elementary, a school in Knightdale, North Carolina, in the United States of America. And they asked some questions about whether Ruku and Viji's family was poor to start with, and how much a rupee is in American money. What I want to say is this: if you read very closely, you will find clues as to whether Ruku and Viji's family was poor or not. And I think there's sufficient evidence. Go looking for it, and you'll see that they are actually not very wealthy at all to start off. Of course, when they become homeless, they are in some ways much worse off. But in some ways, as Viji discusses, she feels like she's done some things that are very, very important and very wonderful for them as well. How much is a rupee, or how much is 200 rupees in American money? You can certainly find that out using the web. What I do want to add is that the rupee is quite a volatile currency, which means that it changes from day to day. So how much a rupee can buy can differ quite widely in India. India is very large, so it's a little bit like all of Europe being one country. And so there's quite a bit of a difference in how much a rupee can purchase. And certainly, I think from reading the book, you'll understand that 200 rupees is not what, even with 200 rupees. So some questions then from Hutchinson Middle School in Texas, USA. Have I ever thought of giving up while I was writing the book? I have. I think about giving up every day. It's hard. Writing isn't easy. There's a lot. I am not going to have time to discuss it right now, but there's a lot in the writing life that isn't easy because it's not very objective. There's a lot of luck in it as well. And I think I used to be an oceanographer, which is quite a different field. And in that field, I think it's a little bit easier in the sense that if you do something that is, well, that passes certain quality standards, you can always be certain of, or most of the time be certain that you'll get somewhere. With writing, it isn't quite as cut and dry. So it's a harder field in that sense, but I love it. And I love it so much that it keeps me going. What were the easiest and hardest aspects of writing? Is something they also asked, which dovetails a little bit with a question that the book Cavaliers from North Carolina asked. And that was, what part of the story did I most enjoy writing? I loved writing the humor. I loved writing the funny parts of the story. So the parts of the story where the scene on the bridge when Kuti joins in with the others and he sort of he says "woo" when Ruku is saying how hungry she is, and Muthu makes them laugh, even though they are hungry, even though it's such a difficult scene in some ways, because the kids are in this tough situation, it becomes funny. And there are other scenes like that. And I think I love those scenes so much, and they were so much fun to write because they reminded me of the friends that I had, that the book is inspired by, who were just wonderful, wonderful children, wonderful people. And they were full of life and happy. And even in the hardest, toughest situations, most difficult situations, they could always find something to laugh about or to be happy about or to be grateful for. And they are so wonderful. And those are the wonderful moments that I wanted to capture in my book. And it's the first of my books, I think, that has really scenes that make you laugh. And I love that about it. I'm very happy, very grateful that it worked out that way. How did I get the idea for Ruku selling necklaces? I'm going to try to answer that on my website, actually. I'm going to put it up with a picture, and that'll show you that I see people like that when I'm in India, in Madras, the city that inspired the Bridge Home, which is also called Chennai now. They changed the city's names around. What type of advice would I give to someone who's going through the types of things Viji, Ruku, Arul, and Muthu are going through? Well, there have been children that have opened up to me through the book because they were going through some very difficult times. And what I want to tell everyone is this: I hid it for a long time, what I was going through, which was quite hard. I think if there's something difficult that you're going through, please find an adult who is responsible, an adult you can trust, and tell them about it. It's very important that you speak up and that you seek help from someone that you trust. And, really, that's such a very, very important thing to do. If I were in the same situations as Viji, would I be overprotective, just as she was with her sister? And that was a question, again, that came both from Texas and from North Carolina in different ways. Why did I make Viji so overprotective? I think I probably would be overprotective if I had a sister like that. If I had, just based on the fact that I'm a mum and I'm quite overprotective. So I think that's probably why Viji is. It's not to say that's the right way to be, but I think sometimes we create our characters with flaws, with things that aren't so wonderful in who they are or what they're like, in part because that needs to be real. I think if you created a sort of angel, if Viji had been someone who had it all together all the time and was perfect from the beginning, it doesn't make for quite as much of an interesting story, and doesn't make for a very realistic story, which is far more important. It doesn't ring true, because few of us are angels, few of us manage to go through life without making mistakes. And sometimes we make very big mistakes, mistakes that affect others. Dover Intermediate School in Dover, Pennsylvania had some questions about what I learned from writing The Bridge Home. And I think what I learned from writing The Bridge Home is that there are no rules in writing. There are, I think, merely suggestions. People have said to me, for instance, that second person, which is what you see in The Bridge Home, it's sort of in first person, it's sort of in second person. And second person direct address or direct address is very hard to pull off. And apparently you're not supposed to do it. Well, I didn't know that you weren't supposed to do it. And of course I did it in The Bridge Home. And so I think it's important to understand there are no writing rules. And when people suggest things to you, even if they present it as rules, think about them, try to understand where they're going with that, try it out, and try out different things. And if you do decide to break a so-called writing rule, do it well. Every rule in the book has been broken. And writing is different than science in that I don't think at the end of the day that there are any writing rules, except for grammar, of course. When did I realize that I wanted to write The Bridge Home? When the voice got into my head, in a way. But also, I think I told everybody before, and this question keeps coming up, that it is based on childhood friends that I had. So very early on, I did have a desire to tell this story. And so this story has been sitting in my mind and in my heart for a very long time. How would I compare it to the other novels that I've written? And did my ideas for The Bridge Home change as I was writing it? Ideas do change as a novel grows. And luckily for me, I have a wonderful editor, Nancy Paulson, who's also edited some brilliant other books. And she and I exchange ideas. She gives me feedback. And based on that, I rewrite several times. And compared to my other novels, I must say I love The Bridge Home so much because parts of it were very hard to write. I had to revisit parts of my childhood that were so hard. And so that was really difficult. Sometimes when you do something that's very difficult and you finish, you feel far more proud of it, perhaps, or far happier with the finished product. And I do think that it is more powerful to me because of all of that. And so I love The Bridge Home very, very, very much. It's very dear to my heart, which is not to say that the other novels are not. Certainly Climbing the Stairs and A Time to Dance and Islands End, all dear to me as well. Did my ideas change? I've addressed that. How would I compare the Bridge Home to the other books that I wrote? I've said that as well. So I think I'm getting close to the end. Why did I decide that Vijay and Ruku might end up living on a bridge? I'm going to try to answer that with a photograph as well on my website. And how did I come up with how do I come up with the small details in my books? That's important. So if any of you are thinking of becoming writers, or even if you're writing just a piece, look and observe as much as you can, every detail that you can, because try to find details that maybe others haven't commented on yet, and that will bring your writing alive much more than just repeating something that somebody else has done. So look and try to see what moves you, and try to express that in your own unique voice. And I think that's what makes writing special, when it is just you who can say something a particular way. I think I'm going to stop there for this week and look forward to listening to questions tomorrow. Thanks. Bye.